writing an introduction feels like a mission impossible, don't worry, you're not alone. The introduction is one of the most challenging yet important parts of your paper. This is the part that can make it or break it. The reviewers and editors read this section first, and it either sells the paper or ruins its chance. In this video, I'm going to share with you the magic formula behind virtually any introduction and the exact structure reviewers and editors expect to see in your work. My name is Sam, and I'm here to help you publish in top journals in your discipline, build a powerful citation track record, and step up in your academic career. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I post a new video about top-tier publications and citations. I've helped over 12,000 faculty members publish in the world's most competitive journals, turning rejections into invitations. And this video, I'm going to give you the same blueprint. A successful introduction, whether for a research paper or a review article, follows 3 layers. These 3 layers are particularly 3 large paragraphs. So from the very beginning, please get used to writing long, solid paragraphs. These 3 paragraphs are exactly the 3 layers any experienced researcher will look for in your introduction. Likewise, reviewers and editors will begin by examining your introduction to see if these 3 layers are present or not. Your future readers who may want to cite your paper will also scan your introduction first. And I promise you, 100% of the time, they will look for relevant information in these 3 layers. And if only your paper resonates and appears to address something they need, they'll go ahead and read the rest of your article. Now, let's break down these 3 layers and understand the mission of each. Layer 1, set the stage. Begin your introduction by talking about the context and the problem statement. Without introducing the problem, you have no basis for presenting a solution. If you're unsure how to craft a strong problem statement, by the way, I have an entire video dedicated to the topic because it's one of the most important things to highlight in your article. So make sure that you check out the video. So let me repeat this. The first paragraph of your introduction is dedicated to setting the stage and clearly stating the problem your research addresses. You need to give your readers enough context to understand why this work matters in the first place. It is particularly effective to open with the statistics or general discussions around the topic. But here is the catch. You can't be too broad. Be specific. Get to the point. Always remember, you are speaking to an expert community, not undergrad students. These are specialists who already know a great deal, and your job is to continue the conversation from where the field has left off. So start with context, but keep it relevant, high level, and straight to the point. If your area of expertise or field of research allows you to connect your work to global statistics, you are in a privileged position. You can start this part of your introduction by outlining the global status of the issue. If your topic aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, draws on the World Health Organization, or relates to the insight from World Economic Forum, leverage those resources. For research connected to employability, for instance, you can refer to the Future of Jobs reports. Doing this immediately creates a sense of timeliness and high relevance. It shows that your work is part of broader policy discussions and global decision-making. This adds another layer of importance to your research and leaves readers with a strong impression from the very beginning of your introduction. By the way, if you have ever stared at a blank page wondering how to even get started on your intro, type intro in the comment and I'll send you a guide that removes the guesswork and gives you the ready-to-use templates. So you close the first layer of the introduction with a clear problem statement, an urgent situation that needs to be addressed, and you back it up with the statistics and justification for why it must be tackled now, including the consequences of inaction. Again, I highly recommend you to watch my video on a strong problem statement, as I know it will be tremendously helpful to you at this stage as you are preparing your introduction. When you isolate the problem carefully and clearly, you can then move to the second layer of the introduction. Yes, that was just the first layer, the foundation. Without this, layers 2 and 3 simply collapse. The second layer is all about what other researchers have done to solve the problem. Here you want to be as thorough as possible while summarizing the entire picture in one single paragraph. Focus on how others have tried to address this exact problem. And here is a pro tip. Do not talk about other problems that were resolved in works you review, even if they seem cool. Including other issues will only confuse the readers. Stay specific to the scope of your manuscript and the problem you are addressing. In this part of introduction, you must remain updated. The vast majority of your references here should be from the past 5 years. This is something reviewers and editors pay close attention to, and if you are not updated, it can immediately signal that you have not done your homework right, which could lead to rejection. So review all the relevant documents and reports from the past 5 years and focus on discussing exactly what's been done to address the problem you are targeting. Now, here's the question I get all the time. How can I do all this in just one single paragraph? I understand it's difficult. To avoid making this section too long, cluster references. For example, if 5 studies have taken the same approach to solving the problem, you can write multiple research, have blah, 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 then cite all 5 at the same point. Summarizing these efforts in 2 or 3 sentences per approach can be tremendously helpful. The key in this second paragraph is to acknowledge and respect the accomplishments of others, giving them the credit they deserve, while diplomatically narrowing the focus to what remains unresolved or where there is still a gap to be filled. This creates a clear scenario that justifies the need for further research. In short, the objectives of the second layers are review the state of the art in solving this specific problem, remain updated with most references from the past 5 years, and narrow the discussion to highlight the gap or challenges that still remain. The last layer of the introduction is all about what you have done. But before diving in, let's take a step back and look at the overall structure of a strong introduction. In most cases, you can summarize it in 3 solid, substantial paragraphs, each with its own mission. It's highly advisable not to make the introduction too long. In very rare cases, for example, if you're addressing 2 distinct main problems and need to present 2 sets of past attempts, you could expand to 4 or 5 paragraphs. But in the majority of the manuscripts, 3 is more than enough. Here is the flow for reminder and before we jump to the last layer. First paragraph, isolate the problem, provide context, explain what the problem is, why it needs to be solved now, and what the consequences of inaction would be. Make the urgency and the need for action clear. Second paragraph, review what others have done to solve the problem, present specific solutions offered, and explain how these efforts fell short in addressing the exact highly specific detail of the problem you are working on. Third paragraph, present what you have done to solve the problem. This third paragraph is critical. Always signal it clearly by starting with phrases such as in this study, the present work, or this research. These make it clear and obvious to the editors and the reviewers and the readers that this is where they will find the essence of your paper. Many readers, especially experts, scan manuscripts instead of reading every single word. They're looking for the structure. When they reach this last paragraph of the introduction, they should immediately recognize, here's the story of the paper. Within this single paragraph, cover 3 elements. What you have done, briefly state the strategy, technique, system, or the approach that you've applied. So here we go. What? How you have done it, summarize your methodology, the tools, the framework, the instrument, analytical methods, synthesis techniques, or whatever you have used to execute. And why you have done it. Justify your approach. Explain the expected benefit. Is it cheaper, faster, more environmental friendly, more efficient, or more accurate? Highlight the significance and advantages of your method over previous works. Close this part outlining your expected outcomes and you're literally done with this mission impossible. Remember, all 3 points stay in one single paragraph. Be concise but complete. Readers at an expert level will not necessarily retain every detail from your paper. They will scan for structural information and elements, and the introduction is the first checkpoint. For a review article, the structure is practically the same, but the problem takes a different form. In review papers, the problem is usually a gap, a lack of knowledge, a lack of updated knowledge, a specific angle or gap that has not been explored before. So something around the knowledge is always missing in every single review article. Your role is to synthesize the literature to provide deeper insights. So the first paragraph here presents the problem, what knowledge is missing, outdated or overlooked, and why it matters to the field and the community or the society at large. Second paragraph reviews what others have done, discuss previous review articles or other attempts at synthesizing the literature, acknowledge their contributions, but also highlight what's still missing. And the third paragraph, present what you've done, state what type of review article is this, systematic review, narrative review, meta-analysis, how you carried out the review, databases searched, selection criteria, method, and why you did it, the justification, the expected contribution, and the value your review adds to the state of the art. Close the introduction by clearly stating how your work addresses the gap and adds value. If the introduction follows this three-part system, you immediately give the impression that you know what you're doing. If it's scattered into many small and unfocused paragraphs, you risk losing the journal's confidence. So stick to the 3 or maximum of 5 well-developed paragraphs. Make them informative, up-to-date, and solid. This gives reviewers and editors immediate confidence in your work. And if you're struggling to get the introduction done correctly, to give the right impression to the editors and the reviewers, comment intro in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you with a guide to get this part right. But if you're ready to step up, to build a complete strategy for getting published in top journals and building a visible research career, then book a free strategy call with me. I dropped the link in the description of this video and look forward to chatting with you.